Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question's to the Minister of Finance. Was the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs correct when she said the Minister of Finance had met the Pacific Economic Development Agency, quote, on several occasions, end quote? If so, who did he meet?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I've got a slightly longer answer. Okay. The answer is yes. I had a series of discussions with Pacific community groups who shared the government's deep concern about the effects of the recession on Pacific people, including 14% general unemployment and probably higher among young people. Those meetings included ministers of churches, local government, business owners and the Pacific Chamber of Commerce. Discussions focused on following up on the APESTA conference held in October 2008 under the previous government, sponsored by government agencies and opened by ARC Chairman Mike Lee. In December 2009, I addressed a public Pacific business forum in Mangere, jointly hosted by the Pacific Economic Development Agency and the Pacific Chamber of Commerce. In February 2010, I attended a meeting hosted by the Pacific Economic Development Agency. I'm advised the agency was represented by J.R. Pereira and Morsi Saitala. People who are active in the Pacific community wear many hats, and I may have met with members of PEDA in other capacities at other meetings. We need to remember this is all about providing job and training opportunities for Pacific communities who are facing 14% unemployment and probably higher for young people.
The Honourable Annette King.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Was the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs correct when she stated on Radio New Zealand this morning that had been in discussions with Mr J.R. Pereira, the contact person for PEDA, about the project over a fairly extended period of time, quote, and when did he first discuss this project with Mr Pereira?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, there was no project until about February this year. Prior to that, I met with a range of people who were frustrated who were frustrated that there had been endless talk about economic development in the Pacific community, but actually not much had occurred. Existing providers do their best, but as that member will know, the resources available in the Pacific community are not extensive, and when someone is proactive and takes an initiative, a government should take that opportunity.
Point of order, the Honourable Annette King.
Mr Speaker, I quoted from the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs, who said that the Minister of Finance had been in discussions with Mr J.R. Pereira for an extended period of time, and I asked when he first met with him. He did not answer that question.
Well, Mr Speaker,
I'll hear the Honourable
as I pointed out, people wear a lot of different hats in the Pacific community, and it wasn't. I can go back and check when I first met with Mr J.R. Pereira. I expect it was when I first met with the Pacific Chamber of Commerce. As my capacity as Minister of Finance, I meet with chambers of commerce all over the country and was requested to meet with them, and that may be the first occasion. That would have been perhaps early 2009. I can't be sure.
This was a most unusual situation. I took that as being helpful. Further answer from the Minister. Chris Tremaine, supplementary question.
To the Minister of Finance. Having attended a number of meetings with Pacific Island leaders, what measures did Budget 2010 take to improve the prospects of Pacific people?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, in a general sense, the tax switch involved in Budget 2010 will promote investment and employment, and the forecasts include 170,000 new jobs. That will make a big difference to a community who have been hardest hit by unemployment.
The Honourable Annette King.
Speaker, when he said, quote, it's critical the government continues to responsibly manage public finances on behalf of taxpayers, we can't take our eye off the ball, end quote. Did he apply this standard to the funding proposal he received from the Pacific Economic Development Agency, a proposal that is 6 pages long, with 2 of the pages containing nothing more than statistics straight from Statistics New Zealand, and seeks close to $4 million of taxpayers' money?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure just which proposal the member has seen, but no, I'm not actually. That's not a description of the proposal that I received. And in any case, and like every other proposal that is put to the government, that will go through a thorough process of a purchase agreement, accountabilities, and good care for taxpayers' money. And I must say that is not unusual. The budget includes tens of millions of dollars of contingency, where the accountabilities and the contracts are going to be negotiated over the next few months.
The Honourable Annette King.
What other agency has had a project approved by him by simply writing a proposal that is 57 words long, that has not been through any open and transparent process, does not have 1 word of detail, was emailed in from Honiara, and seeks $1 million a year, as is in the proposal to him for the Pacific Skilled Employment Scheme?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member is simply wrong. I don't know what document she's referring to. It's certainly not the one that is being worked through now by Treasury and the Ministry of Pacific Island Affairs to come to a conclusion around appropriate contracts. I might say, Mr. Speaker, we don't intend to let a bit of petty party politicking get in the way of making vital progress for a community whose young people are in desperate need of action after years of talk from that government.
The Honourable Annette King.
Mr. English, pretty words.
Order.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. Does he have any more written material from the Pacific Economic Development Agencies other than the 6-page provided, addressed to him, and the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs talked about on the radio this morning? Does he have more written material to back up a proposal that he's prepared to hand out millions of dollars to? And if he does have more material, would he please give it to the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs, because she's made it clear she's only seen this particular proposal?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, of course there is more written material than that member's misrepresentation of it. And as I said before, that is what is being discussed. Not $1 will be paid out unless all the accountability is met. And I might say this initiative has arisen because the Pacific community is tired of endless talk they got from Labor and no action. It is time to do something for young Pacific people, not just sit round talking about them.
The Honourable Annette King.
Speaker, was the Minister of Pacific Island Affairs correct when she affirmed on Radio New Zealand this morning that the Pereira family had been involved in brokering appearances or endorsements by members of the Pacific community during the election campaign? If so, did he know this before agreeing to $4.8 million for Mr. J.R. Pereira's project?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I resent that implication. Well, if the member really wants to know, the only Pereira I knew before was Tino Pereira, who I understand was very close to the previous Labor government. That does not mean that he did not have something to contribute to the welfare of Pacific people. That member will know I have my own connections into that community by blood relationship. The motivation of the government here has been to deal with a problem that I know that party understands well, and that is young Pacific Islanders who have low skill levels, no attachment to the workforce, who have been the group in New Zealand hardest hit by the recession. And when that community produces a proactive initiative with sound business principles, is an opportunity to take, not a problem to dismiss.
The Honourable Annette King. Order. The Honourable Annette King.
Mr. Speaker, as Minister of Finance, Why has he not insisted on an open, transparent